Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. 20 House Republicans joined Democrats to pass a bill reversing President Donald Trump's executive order blocking most federal unions yesterday. The man accused of assassinating Turning Point USA Charlie Kirk made his first in-person court appearance yesterday, nearly 3 months after he was taken into custody. The hearing marks the most significant step in the case so far and comes amid growing concerns from media outlets and from Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk, about the increasing secrecy surrounding the proceedings. We have the details for you. President Donald Trump suffered a major political setback yesterday in his push to pass congressional redistricting in red states. Yes, a red state legislature is refusing to redistrict in order to pick up additional GOP seats in the House. Someone explain that one for us.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Quick update on a story we've been following for months now. Kilmar Abrigo Garcia, the El Salvadoran illegal immigrant that became the face of the Trump administration's mass deportation campaign, has been released from detention. Garcia's lawyer confirmed his release. His release came after a federal judge on Thursday ordered him to be free. U.S. District Judge Paula Zenas ordered Abrigo Garcia released from the ICE Moshannon Valley Processing Center. This is in Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania, on the grounds that the Trump administration had not obtained the final notice of removal order that is needed to deport him to a third country, including a list of African nations they had previously identified for his removal. Zenas said in her order yesterday, since Abrigo Garcia's return from wrongful detention in El Salvador, he has been detained again without lawful authority. We'll continue to follow this story as well. We witnessed another tense chapter in a story that continues to shake the nation yesterday. The assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk and the extraordinary court battle unfolding around his accused killer, Tyler Robinson, just 22 years old. He appeared in a Provo courtroom yesterday in his first full in-person hearing. And from the moment he walked in wearing a blue button-down and an argyle tie, the legal fireworks began. Because his attorneys, and listen to this, are pushing hard to ban cameras from the courtroom. That's right. In one of the most consequential murder cases in recent history, the defense is asking for less transparency. And yet on the other side, Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk, has been absolutely clear. She wants every hearing broadcast so the country can see exactly what's happening. I agree with her, don't you? A grieving wife demanding transparency, a defense team trying to shut the public out. They don't want us to see what's going on, and a judge somewhat caught in the middle. So let me walk you through what happened. A closed-door hearing, and a judge who's now tiptoeing, Judge Tony Graff is his name. He allowed cameras at the start, but more than 2 hours into the hearing, they went behind closed doors, off limits, not only to the public, not only to the press, but even to Robinson's own family. His mother, his father, brother, they all had been seated in the gallery, but once the secret portion began, they were escorted out. Robinson, who's accused of gunning down Charlie Kirk in front of thousands of horrified students at the Utah Valley University, he sat calm. In fact, he was almost relaxed. Eyewitnesses say that he even smiled and joked with his lawyers before things began. That in itself is a bit chilling to me. What about you? But then the clash over cameras took center stage. When the courtroom reopened, Robinson's attorney, Stacey Visser, lashed out at the press, accusing outlets of violating the judge's order by showing Robinson's shackles and capturing stray audio from the defense table. She argued that it threatened her client's ability to get a fair trial. Meanwhile, the media's attorney apologized, saying any violations were inadvertent and pleading with the judge not to throw reporters out of the room. Judge Graff ordered the cameras repositioned and allowed the hearing to continue. But it's clear this courtroom is going to be constant. It's going to be a constant battle over transparency. Now, the stakes couldn't be higher. Remember, Robinson isn't facing a simple murder charge. He is charged with aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious injury, obstruction of justice, 2 counts of witness tampering, and committing a violent offense in the presence of a child. And if he's convicted, he faces execution by firing squad. Yes, Utah still has that option, and prosecutors have not been hesitant to mention it in numerous times. This isn't a case that's going to slip quietly through the system, folks. There's national interest, there's political interest, and deep emotional trauma tied to every hearing. People in America want to know what happened. They want to hold this young man responsible for killing a young man, Charlie Kirk, who was making a big difference in this country, who was leading young people to be involved in government. And there was a big faith component too. Turning Point USA is not shy about sharing their faith with these young people. Now, Erika Kirk has made it clear that the proceedings must be public. And honestly, she's right. Charlie Kirk was a public figure. The assassination, think about this for a minute. The assassination happened on camera in front of a crowd. This young man designed that. He wanted to make it a very public assassination. This case has enormous implications, folks, for political violence and the radicalization that we're seeing online. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and the country deserves to see how justice is handled, or maybe not handled in a case like this. Investigators say Robinson admitted to the killing in text messages with his transgender roommate, communications that helped the FBI, of course, track him down just 33 hours after the shooting. When his father recognized him in the photo circulating online, he turned him in. That had to be a tough thing for that father to do. He allegedly revealed where the bolt-action rifle was hidden. The motive still isn't entirely clear, but prosecutors say the digital trail is damning toward this young man. And that's why Robinson's defense team is working overtime to control the courtroom environment. They want him in civilian clothes. They fought unsuccessfully to remove the shackles. And how they want cameras banned, I cannot imagine why they think that a judge would allow that. But hey, maybe they convinced the judge. It's not unusual in a high-profile case, but it's hard not to see the contrast. You have a calm defendant, a grieving wife demanding transparency, and a nation still trying to process one of the most shocking acts of political violence in recent memory. So let's just step back for a moment. Charlie Kirk wasn't just a conservative commentator. He was a rising MAGA leader, co-founder of Turning Point USA, a man whose work shaped an entire generation of young conservatives. His funeral was held at State Farm Auditorium in Arizona, an arena. People traveled from all over the world to be there. I mean, that's how many people wanted to honor him. They had to literally rent a stadium. He leaves behind Erika, his wife, 2 young children. This trial, every hearing along the way matters for them. But it also matters for every American watching the temperature of our political climate rise. President Trump himself has said that the assassin should face the death penalty. Millions agree. And that's precisely why the defense wants less visibility and not more. So what's next? The judge will rule on whether cameras stay or go. And that decision will shape the entire rest of this case. Erika Kirk says transparency is non-negotiable. Defense says cameras jeopardize a fair trial. What do you say? Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Everyone says they'll start after the holidays, and that's exactly why most people never tackle those extra pounds at all. Joey Hudson here. Right now, PhD Weight Loss is making it easy to start before the new year with a bonus designed to get you moving now. They're adding 2 free weeks to your program. That means you can ramp up during the holidays and start the new year already working toward your goals. Those 2 free weeks mean you won't roll into January feeling behind. You'll hit January already losing, already feeling better, already in control. PhD's metabolic reset system teaches your body to burn fat first. No drugs, no starvation diets, no endless workouts, just a smarter science-based system that fits real life. And when you mention 2 weeks on the phone, they'll waive your consultation fee and pay for the cost of your food during the entire program. There's no reason to wait, no reason to repeat last year. Call PhD Weight Loss today and start 2026 already ahead. 864-644-1900. Call today. That's 864-644-1900 or go to myphdweightloss.com. Don't wait. Do it today. Well, Washington delivered one of those classic swamp moments yesterday. The House of Representatives passed a bill that would reverse one of President Trump's most aggressive executive orders, the one blocking collective bargaining for many federal unions. Let that sink in for a minute. Think about this. The headline isn't just that Democrats wanted it, it's that 20 House Republicans crossed over and helped them do it. Let's walk through what happened, because there's more maneuvering here than most folks realize what happened. The bill was led by Democrat Jared Golden of Maine. He managed to use one of the few pressure valves Congress has left, a discharge petition. If you get 218 signatures, which is a majority of the House, you can force a vote on a bill even if leadership wants to bury it in the basement. And this was the case with this bill. Speaker Johnson did not want to bring it forward. Golden got his signatures. 5 Republicans signed on early, and that opened the door. The final vote, 231 to 195. Every no came from Republicans, but 20 GOP House members joined Democrats in the final vote. Now, that means the House willingly voted to undo a Trump executive order that blocked certain federal agencies from collective bargaining, including parts of defense, DHS, state, Treasury, Justice, you name it. All these unions. And Washington, the Washington bureaucrats love a good union. Trump put the order in place to break up what he called an entrenched bureaucratic fortress inside the federal workforce, part of Washington's swamp. A system he argued protected bad employees. It slows down discipline. It props up telework arrangements that taxpayers never signed up for. These unions are protecting a lot of these federal workers who just don't want to get out of the pajamas every day and go to work. They want to stay at home like they did during COVID. Well, President Trump says no more. It's time to move on. Get back to the office. Get to work. But no, a bipartisan coalition said, nope, we're bringing unions back into the room. During the debate, Oversight House Chairman James Comer did not hold back. He said repealing Trump's order is basically inviting even more work-from-home culture back into federal agencies, something he argues voters loudly rejected when they put Trump and Republicans back into power. Now, some have argued, well, that's really not the case. That wasn't on the ballot. Wasn't a referendum or anything. But let me ask you a question, and you can text me, you can email me. When you decided to vote for Donald Trump in November of 2024, was this an issue that you had in the back of your mind and you knew he would right the ship as far as some of these federal unions and allowing these federal workers to work from home and not go to the office and do their job? Was that one of the factors that maybe led you to vote for Donald Trump? Let me hear from you. Text me, email me, leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5669, and just leave me a message. And by the way, when you're at mypillow.com, be sure and use promo code Joey to get all the great deals. And Mike Lindell has some great deals for you during this Christmas season. Christmas specials just for you when you use promo code Joey. My slippers, $29.98 in some cases, $39.98 with a leather protected spray. They typically are anywhere from $100 to $139 a pair. Blankets, comforters, duvets for as low as $25, and a blowout sale on the standard MyPillows, just $14.98 when you use promo code Joey. So go to MyPillow.com, call 800-893-4059. Go ahead and do it today. Get the rest of your Christmas shopping out of the way. I mean, where can you buy a pillow for $14.98, and especially a MyPillow? They're the best pillow. You'll get the best sleep you've ever gotten. The MyPillow standard pillows, originally $49.98, again, $14.98. Queens, $18.98. Kings, only $1 more. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they're extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. If you order now, between December 25th, you'll have the 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March the 1st of 2026. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code Joey. I got sidetracked there. Back to this bill that these 20 Republicans fell in line with the Democrats. Comer pointed out a truth that even Democrats of previous generations acknowledged. Public sector unions are not the same as private sector unions, something we have to remember. Even FDR, the patron saint of government expansion, said bargaining against the taxpayers themselves does not make sense because federal workers aren't negotiating with a profit-driven company. They're negotiating with you, the taxpayer, with elected officials, with the people paying their salary. And Representative Brandon Gill from Texas laid it out even more bluntly. Union bosses love this bill because it protects their telework perks, it shields them from accountability, and it gives them veto power over a duly elected president. And 20 of our supposedly Republican House members went along with this stuff. That's not subtle. Gill, he's not wrong about the core concern. Everything Trump tried to do to reform the bureaucracy, the administrative state, the alphabet soup agencies, all of it becomes harder if unions get to negotiate the terms. Now, Democrats framed the issue very differently. Hakeem Jeffries called collective bargaining the freedom to negotiate the best possible work environment. He thanked Republicans for the bipartisan support to restore more than 1 million workers' union rights. Wow. So you can see the divide here. Conservatives are saying this shackles accountability. The bipartisan center is saying this protects workers. And Democrats see an opportunity to rebuild their old union coalition with the very agencies Republicans are trying to reform. Something is just not right about this, folks. I want to circle back to a similar topic that we talked about just a little earlier in today's show when I was talking with you about the 20 Republican House members who voted to overturn an executive order of President Trump's when it relates to unions. You know, we elected Donald Trump to drain the swamp. That's what we expect. We expect Republican members of the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate to assist him in draining the swamp. But as we get further and further into Trump 2.0, we're starting to see more and more of these Republicans who just are not willing to do it, they don't want to do it, or they don't have the backbone. I'm not sure what it is. We saw another example of this. President Trump literally hit a wall, not in Washington, not in blue states, but in one of the reddest, most reliably Republican states in the country, Indiana. It wasn't the Democrats who stopped him, it was Republicans. So after months of pressure, phone calls, visits, social media posts, a full court press from Trump allies inside and outside of the state, the Indiana Senate rejected the Trump's redistricting plan. Now, let me give you a little backup here. You remember how Texas has redistricted their congressional seats so that they can pick up some more GOP seats earlier than expected. They're not going to wait till the next census. Well, that's what Indiana and other states were trying to do. The Indiana Senate rejected Trump's plan, not narrowly, but by a vote of about 2-1. The map lost 31-19, with 21 Republicans breaking ranks and joining Democrats to vote it down. So let me underline that. In a supermajority GOP Senate in Indiana, President Trump could not get the votes needed to redistrict and gain some congressional seats, some House seats that we very well will need in the next few years. Now, this was a major test of President Trump's influence heading into 2026, according to a lot of the political pundits, where Republicans are trying, again, to hold on to the House by a very thin majority. We got to find every way we can to build on that majority. President Trump has been saying for months, we got to keep the majority at all costs. Redrawing congressional districts, especially in red states, has been one of the biggest tools in that strategy. So what was this map supposed to do? Trump's version of the Indiana map would have eliminated both Democratic-held congressional seats in the state, Frank Mervyn and Andre Carson, and replaced them with two right-leaning districts. Essentially, Indiana would go from 7 Republicans and 2 Democrats to 9 Republicans and 0 Democrats. Republicans in Washington loved it. Republicans in conservative media loved it. Trump made it one of his top priorities. But Republicans inside of Indiana, wow. I guess they just didn't have the stomach to do it. They didn't have the stomach to turn out 2 of their Democrat colleagues. For months, State Senate leader Roderick Bray had warned that there weren't enough votes for a mid-cycle redistricting bill. Now, that frustration eventually boiled over. Trump blasted Bray repeatedly, calling him a rhino, accusing him of sabotaging the House majority, and even promising that Bray would face a primary problem along with other Republicans who dared to stand in the way. Vice President J.D. Vance went to Indiana twice. Speaker Mike Johnson called lawmakers. Club for Growth Action pumped money into ad campaigns. Turning Point Action mobilized grassroots pressure. White House allies published list of undecided senators needing, quote, encouragement. People called. People responded. It wasn't a gentle persuasion. This was an intense national pressure campaign, granted. And still, 21 Republican senators said no. It's almost like they were defiant. And now this is going to fail. There are 2 reasons why. First, a lot of lawmakers just weren't comfortable with mid-decade redistricting. And granted, it was a unique way to approach this. Not sure that it's ever been done. Traditionally, maps are drawn once every 10 years after the census. Reopening the process mid-cycle feels like bending the rules, some of them said, and that makes some Republicans very uneasy, even if it means gaining a better Republican majority. Second, many lawmakers were worried about legal challenges. Indiana courts, like courts in other states, tend to be skeptical when legislatures try to redraw maps outside of the normal schedule. Lawmakers don't want lawsuits hanging over the 2026 election. Third, and this is the part that didn't get enough national attention, many Republicans simply did not want the appearance that they were being bullied into a vote by Washington or by President Trump himself. They felt the pressure campaign crossed a line. And whether you agree with their decision or not, that's what happened. That's the reality, or that's how they perceived it. They were defiant. They were saying, we'll do what we think is best for Indiana. Now, President Trump's push for these redistricting changes has been enormously successful in other states, Texas, North Carolina, Ohio, Missouri. They've all adopted new maps benefiting Republicans. Florida and Kansas are exploring it. And the Supreme Court just handed Trump a massive victory last week by allowing Texas to use its newly drawn map that creates up to 5 extra Republican seats after it was challenged in court. So Indiana was supposed to be a routine win. Instead, it turned into what some are calling a political standoff and ultimately a loss. Now, here's where things are interesting to me. While red states are considering or adopting new maps, blue states aren't sitting on their hands. They're playing the same game, just on the other side. Remember where we got this idea from? California, Gavin Newsom. That's who gave us the idea. We didn't think of this ourselves. California voters overwhelmingly approved Proposition 50, temporarily sidelining the state's independent redistricting commission, the very commission Democrats once championed, and gave map drawing power right back to the Democrat-controlled legislature. That move alone is expected to produce up to 5 new Democrat-leaning districts. Did you hear me? 5 new Democrat districts. We got to offset that somewhere. And yes, we'll gain some in Texas, but we need more. Illinois, Maryland, Virginia, they're all looking at changes as well. I don't think I have to tell you who will win in that one. In Missouri, opponents gathered signatures to force a statewide referendum to overturn the GOP map. And in Utah, a judge threw out the legislature's map entirely and replaced it with one that could create a Democrat-leaning district for the first time in years. So, folks, we got a lot of battles going on out there. So when we have a state like Indiana, when it should be a slam dunk, when it should not even be a question, it's kind of puzzling, isn't it? So this isn't just a political fight. It's a national chess match. Both sides are moving pieces around. Both sides know the House majority in 2026 may come down to literally a handful of districts. There's no, we would be careless if we thought that we can overwhelmingly build on the slim majority we have in the U.S. House right now. And that's why Indiana mattered so much. Somehow we lost that. And it is just a real dilemma for me to understand how Republicans in Indiana could turn on the president like that and hurt the whole country, by the way. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. On our guest line today, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. Welcome, and how are you?
I'm doing well, Joey. I hope you are too. I hope everybody's getting ready for the holiday. Christmas is on its way, whether we're ready or not.
Well, I'm starting to make my list. So, and this making my list will take me another week or maybe two, and then I start my shopping on Christmas Eve.
You're such a man. You are such a typical man. I mean, I have 3 older brothers. That's exactly what they did. Everybody all went shopping on Christmas Eve before our big Christmas Eve family celebration, and I just find that so amusing because you hear that time and time again. But I love seeing everybody getting in the spirit and seeing everything decorated, and this is my favorite time of year.
Yeah, mine too. And there's a bit of truth to that. It drives Peg nuts that I don't have everything just ready to go, but I do enjoy the last minute shopping. I do some of my better thinking when I'm kind of running around and stressed out trying to find those last minute gifts. But it always works. So that's before we jump into to a couple of things we're going to talk about. Did you see that Travel and Leisure just named Greenville as one of the 14 best food cities in America?
It is. I did see that, and I'm not surprised. I mean, look at what happens here with Euphoria. And, we have such amazing restaurants, and look at how, Carl Sobocinski has been recognized so many times for his wonderful restaurants and cuisine. And, it's just, South Carolina is on the map. Yep. Whether people, whether they're coming here for our beautiful beaches, our amazing hiking trails and waterfalls here in the upstate, or the food, or just the people, because South Carolina is unique in the amazing people that we have. Yeah,
well, I mean, they compared us to New York and Chicago and some of the New Orleans, some of the well-known food cities, but I just thought that, and of course the article, they highlight Carl starting that back in 1997 when he purchased that old shoe building. and renovated it for Sobeys, and then it just grew from there. But it's fun to see Greenville recognized because, of course, I've lived here my whole life, and I remember those days when the buildings were boarded up down there, and my mom forbid me from going down there.
Well, I can remember David would always tell me like where the Drive Stadium is now, and and all that building that's going on. He said, you back in the day when he was young, just like you wouldn't be caught dead there, or you would be caught dead.
Yeah, you would
right?
be.
Like,
yes,
there was just a lot of crime and all kinds of things. And now you look at it and there's $1 million condos going up, and the Drive Stadium and the restaurants and the people out walking around. I think that's what I love about South Carolina is the fact that people feel safe.
Yeah.
And they go and they walk, and it's not like most big cities. Take out the New York and the Chicagos where that becomes a meeting place, but there are a lot of cities that, as soon as the sun goes down and after 5:30 when people leave office buildings, the city dies.
Yeah.
Nobody comes there, nobody eats there, nobody shops there. And you go to beautiful places like Greer.
Yep.
Or downtown Greenville, downtown Spartanburg. You can go on and on. Newberry. What an amazing Christmas picture postcard, Newberry, South Carolina. And the list goes on and on. So I don't want to get in this pigeonhole, be naming every city in South Carolina, but you can literally just pick a spot on a map, and they're downtown. People will be walking around and excited about it. And the cities that haven't quite gotten there yet, some of our rural communities, Joey, that's what they're doing. That's what they're aiming for, getting small businesses excited about coming downtown, revitalizing their downtowns, and making that a meeting place.
Yep. And look, they've done such a great job of it as well. So Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evans, my guest today. All right, let's move on here. Governor McMaster's office just released a poll that says South Carolina voters are growing leery of explosive growth and the taxes that sometimes comes with that to support it. Talk with us about this poll and some of the results that you guys saw in this.
Well, this is what I see every day. People get weary when they worry about infrastructure. They want to know that you have a plan. And, I have talked about in my travels in the state, especially since I've announced running for governor, how we have to eliminate state income tax. It's something that the governor and I are very proud that our tenure in office, we've had the largest decreases in state income tax. I believe that can be eliminated. And I also talk about a master plan. Mm-hmm. The state really needs a master plan. And, I grew a very large company. I started in my home, grew it into a national company. I always had a plan. And that doesn't mean that once you make the plan, it's like locked in, in solid. It morphs some, right? Because you're using it based on the predictions you have today. But people want to feel like we have a plan that is going to say, hey, if an industry wants to come here, this is the best spot for it because of the size and the amount of people it will hire. And this is where it will go. And it will have the ability in the surrounding area to support housing that people are going to need to live in. And, oh, by the way, they have enough infrastructure. When I mean infrastructure, I don't just mean roads and bridges, water and sewer. And do they have the capability to take kids that move into that area into their schools? And so that has been something I've been talking about a lot. I think it's important to have a good business perspective when you're the CEO of your state and coming up with a master plan of where to put things, where to focus on infrastructure, where to put money when it comes to roads and bridges. That gives people comfort that somebody is really thinking, right? We want to be proactive, not reactive, and come up with people a sense of calm about how the state will grow and the fact we really do have a grip on where growth should be. Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting observation. I mean, the poll, 81% said they're concerned with the state growing too fast. And just over half of there were 600 people questioned in the poll, and nearly half of those said they also think the state should find ways to slow growth. But that's not even possible. people are going to come because it's such a great place to live. The food's good, as we just talked about. There's jobs here, and so I don't think it's an option to say, well, we're going to close the doors, but we just got to figure out how to manage it, I guess.
Well, and I think that is what I talk about when I talk about a master plan. Because again, I think what I have heard now, I've been to 44 of the 46 counties. I'll hit the last two. Sitting down with not just big cities, right, like Greenville or Charleston or Ory, is sitting down in rural areas and finding out what they need. Because I'll tell you, we need to protect our prime farmlands, because the farming industry and our farmers, they are very important. Because food security is national security. We've heard the president say it all the time, and that's just common sense, Joey.
Yeah.
But so we have to, but they need help too. They don't want us to stop growing. They want the right growth in their counties so that they can increase the revenues they're getting in, so they can worry about their schools, so they can worry about their infrastructure, so that they can concentrate on rural health care. So that's what I mean. We need to grow smart. It's not an option, because it truly is. If you're not growing, you're dying on the vine, because you're always going to have attrition.
Yep.
You're always going to have people that move. And once you stop the momentum, it's really hard to start it up again.
Yep.
And a lot of people, a lot of South Carolinians remember those days.
Yep, for sure. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evans, always a pleasure. Be safe out there as you hit those final two counties.
Thanks so much, Joey. And everybody, Joey, get that Christmas list made. If you're making a list, Peg needs to check it twice.
There you go, for sure. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.